It began as a dream carved from steel and steam, the Titanic, the largest and most luxurious ship ever to touch the sea, a floating city of elegance and ambition, gleaming under the April sun as it left Southampton harbor for its maiden voyage, thousands of hearts waving from the docks below, unaware they were witnessing history's most beautiful beginning to its darkest night. She moved with a quiet pride through the open waters, her four great funnels exhaling clouds of confidence, her polished decks alive with laughter, violins, and the distant echo of destiny whispering through the wind. To the world, she was unsinkable, a modern miracle defying the deep. Inside her grand halls, crystal chandeliers shimmered over conversations of wealth and dreams, silver cutlery clinking in rhythm with the heartbeat of progress, while deep in her belly, men labored in hellish heat, shoveling coal into roaring furnaces, unaware that their sweat and fire were feeding not only the ship's engines, but fate itself. Families in third class gathered in narrow cabins, children playing with wooden toys, mothers whispering hopes of a new life across an ocean that seemed endless and kind. On the bridge stood Captain Edward Smith, his white beard glowing in the sunlight, eyes scanning a sea so calm it seemed eternal, unaware that stillness can hide danger as surely as waves can. As twilight fell, the Titanic became a floating palace of light beneath a canopy of stars, the calm before everything changed. In the wireless room, messages arrived from nearby ships, ice ahead, drifting silent and unseen in the dark. The warnings were noted, but the dance of luxury continued. In the dining rooms, laughter rose over the sound of violins, glasses were raised, and the night seemed infinite. Then, as the clock neared midnight, the lookout's cry shattered the peace, "Iceberg right ahead!" The ocean had been waiting. The ship turned, but fate does not yield to man's precision. A shudder, a tear of steel, the groan of a giant wounded by its own arrogance. The iceberg scraped her side, unseen beneath the waves, cutting deep, letting in the cold heart of the Atlantic. At first, no one knew the truth. Passengers in first class returned to their cabins, annoyed by the disturbance. But below, the sea had already entered, flooding compartments with a quiet, merciless speed. In the engine room, men fought to contain it, boots slipping, shouts echoing through the iron labyrinth. The ship began to tilt, almost imperceptible at first, like the world itself leaning toward tragedy. Wireless operators tapped out distress calls, the sharp clicks of desperation traveling through the night. CQD. SOS. Titanic sinking. Out on deck, the stars reflected on a sea as flat as glass, a cruel mirror to the chaos brewing within. Officers moved swiftly to uncover lifeboats, but there were not enough, never enough. Orders rang out, women and children first. Mothers clutched their children, husbands kissed their wives one last time, voices breaking under the weight of the inevitable. The ship's band gathered on deck, instruments trembling in cold hands, playing hymns to calm the terrified, their music rising like a prayer into the frozen air. As lifeboats lowered, the cries of the living mixed with the groan of the dying ship. The Titanic, once a symbol of human triumph, now became a monument to its fragility. Steam erupted, cables snapped, and still the band played, Courage Amid Chaos. The bow sank deeper, the stern lifting toward the stars, black against the silver sky. People clung to the railings, their breath visible, their eyes wide with disbelief. Some jumped into the water, vanishing into the black abyss. Others stood still, whispering prayers. Then, with a sound that seemed to tear the heavens, the ship split apart, the lights flickered, then went dark, swallowed by the ocean's eternal night. Screams echoed across the water, then faded into silence, leaving only the cold wind and the stars. Lifeboats drifted away, filled with shivering survivors staring back at the void where the Titanic had been, a memory sinking beneath them. Hours passed. The sky began to lighten. Over the horizon came the RMS Carpathia, slicing through the waves like hope itself. Survivors were pulled aboard, faces pale, eyes hollow. Some wept silently. Some simply stared at the sea, searching for what they had lost. When dawn came, the Atlantic was calm again, indifferent, scattered with debris, a chair, a shoe, a child's doll floating in still water. The world would wake to headlines of disbelief, Titanic lost. Cities mourned. Churches filled. Families waited for names that never came. In grand halls, inquiries were held, officials demanded answers, men in uniform spoke of rivets, ice warnings, human error. But beneath every word lay the truth that cannot be measured in reports or data, that arrogance had met the sea, and the sea had won. Years turned to decades, and the ocean kept its secret, holding the wreck in cold silence 2 miles below. Then, in the 20th century's twilight, technology descended into the abyss, lights piercing the darkness, revealing what time had tried to forget. The Titanic lay broken but majestic, her bow still proud, her name still legible. Rustic lace hung like ghostly curtains, shoes and teacups scattered like relics of a vanished world. As cameras drifted through her remains, humanity saw itself reflected in the silence, our brilliance, our flaws, our yearning to conquer what cannot be conquered. And yet, out of tragedy rose memory, and from memory, reverence. Museums would display her artifacts, a piece of china, a stopped watch, a locket holding a photograph that survived the sea. Visitors would stand in quiet awe, a child pressing her hand to the glass, asking her mother if the ship still dreams beneath the waves. In that question lies the truth. The Titanic never truly died. She became a story told in every generation, a reminder that greatness and humility are forever intertwined. Her legacy is not one of defeat, but of remembrance, of the beauty that existed before the fall, and of the courage that emerged when all was lost. Even now, as currents drift through her shattered hulls, there is peace in the silence, a peace that whispers of all who lived, loved, and perished in one frozen night when the ocean stood still. For when we speak her name, Titanic, we speak of more than a ship. We speak of humanity itself, in all its brilliance and fragility, forever echoing in the depths of time. And for the survivors, that echo never faded. They lived the rest of their lives haunted by the sound of the ship's final song, by the cries that faded into the night, and by the emptiness of the lifeboat's wooden hull that carried them away from everything they loved. Some could never speak of it again, the trauma sealed behind their eyes. Others told their stories endlessly, hoping that by speaking, the ghosts might finally rest. They built new lives, some in America, others returned to Europe, but in their dreams, the water always returned. They spoke of the stars, so bright that night they could see forever, and of the terrible calm that followed the screams. One woman said she still heard the band when the wind blew through her window. Another carried the ticket of the husband she lost, folded in her locket, close to her heart. When they gathered years later at reunions, the survivors would look into one another's eyes and see the reflection of that night. The same fear, the same courage, the same impossible memory of a ship that was too beautiful to last. And when the last of them passed away, the story became theirs no longer. It became ours, humanity's eternal mirror. Every retelling breathes life into their memory. Every word spoken of Titanic carries a piece of their courage. The ocean may have claimed the ship, but it could never claim the love, the sacrifice, or the hope that sailed within it. For every name lost that night, 1,000 hearts remember. And as long as the sea touches the sky, the Titanic will never truly rest. She will live on, not as tragedy, but as truth, that even in our darkest depths, humanity's light can still shine, and love can still endure beneath the waves where the ocean once stood still.